Welcome to another episode of the Online Prosperity Experience podcast. You're about to hear your host, Prosper Taravinga's powerful digital marketing strategies and actionable tactics that you can use right now. Prosper has helped more than 50,000 people from over 10 countries to create meaningful businesses that are profitable and enjoyable. Listen to this podcast so that you too can build your own business with less stress and overwhelm. Let's get started.
Create content that's actually useful and what your audience is looking for. Now, I've got a question for you. Why are you on the internet? You know, you might actually not realize that you listening to these podcasts right now is you engaging with the internet. You are on the internet right now. And, you know, our lives have become so synonymous to online connection that sometimes we don't even know when we are on the internet. Every Zoom call that you're on, that's being on the internet. Every time you're texting or chatting to people, either on Messenger or whatever chat platform you're on, that's being on the internet. So have you ever stopped to ask yourself, what is it that you're actually seeking for when you go onto these online platforms, or when you go on Google to search, find, or discover sort of new things in your industry or about your life? Well, that's exactly what your clients or prospects are also going through. You know, people come to the internet to get information. So this information can either be about solving problems. It can either be about buying, solutions to those problems, or to be entertained, based on the boredom that they might be encountering in their life. So if you're a coach, consultant, or small to medium business, you understand that your role as a business person is to generate leads. And the easiest way that the internet has, created for us is to create content that resonates to the people that we're going to be demanding money off of. So my question to you then is your content simply created for you to market your website or your business, or are you actually out there to inform your readers? Okay, so the more content that we are able to create within our businesses will definitely help us engage with our audience, and literally educate them on what it is that we can do for them. Remember, these people are looking for solutions to problems that they might be encountering, right? And also inspiring them to want more, be more, and have more. People that are inspired will definitely buy more, will definitely advocate more for our products and services, and will definitely, be loyal if we are actually giving them some sort of value. Okay. And you do understand that the more value we put out in the marketplace, the more we are actually going to be paid, as we get paid in direct proportion to the value that we bring to the marketplace. So my question for you, just came from a conversation I was having with a prospect who came to me and said, "Hey, Prosper, all that you're telling me is well and truly good. I've been on LinkedIn, I've been on Facebook, I'm writing blogs, I've got a podcast, but I'm not generating any leads." And I just had one question for them. Is the content that you're creating used simply just to market your business, or are you actually helping your clients make sense of the world around them? And you could have heard a penny drop. So if this is the first time you're tuning into the Online Prosperity Experience, welcome. You understand this is a show where we really go into the depths of what seemingly looks obvious on the surface, but things that are actually creating havoc that is stopping you from creating a business that's profitable and enjoyable. And normally when I come on this show, I just snitch on the people that I would have spoken to I know that doesn't sound well. I started talking about it in episode 15 of season 5, and I think it really, really resonates with exactly what it is that I do here. I just snitch on people that think they're doing enough on the internet and expecting a lot of results when they are not identifying their target market, they're not clarifying their message, they're not even determining the media which they should actually be reaching out to their audience. And a few of those suspects are just creating content for content's sake, and they're not actually creating for and relating to the audience they're demanding money off of. Now, I want to paint a scenario that might be very common in the way that you're doing, and obviously, if you're a coach or a consultant who's putting out consulting, training, information, or whatever expertise out there, you might find yourself maybe cold calling potential clients and having them hang up in your face. Or maybe you're sending out hundreds of emails without even getting as much as, hey, thank you so much for reaching out. I was thirsty for this information. Oh, you've been wasting thousands and thousands of ad spend, dollars on ad spend, and you haven't created any qualified leads. And the reason why this is because you haven't been generous enough with your expertise. You haven't even identified the market that actually needs what you're putting out there. And that's the reason why you are hearing crickets in all your marketing endeavors, okay? You haven't created for and related to the audience that you are going to be, wanting to work with, or you haven't defined what it is that you're actually providing value towards. And I know it actually does feel sometimes that, nobody wants to buy what it is that you're selling. And if you are relying on your business, like most of my clients, to put food on the table, man, I know it can create an enormous strain on your emotions. And maybe you then terrified to give up on your dreams. But you don't have to if you're an avid listener of the Online Prosperity Experience. Yes, our topics are random, but these are the things that are actually affecting many coaches and consultants out there that are on a journey to create business that's profitable and enjoyable. And if you haven't subscribed, then this will be your opportunity for you to actually do so you don't miss out on these gems. And we can sit around and laugh, while I snitch on those people that I speak to every single day on their journey to create a business that's profitable and enjoyable. So, all right. So, a lot of us, coaches and consultants, all too often, we've been told that content is king. We have to constantly be creating content. I remember when I was getting started, Gary Vee was, talking in his Daily V episode. Hats off to you, man. He was creating about 100 pieces of content every single day. And he had the statement that attention is my oxygen. And a lot of people just took that verbatim, that, yes, I just need to get attention onto my website. But we were not actually creating enough momentum and also producing useful content that people actually wanted. So I just want to, clean the slate for a lot of people. Yes, you've been doing what's needed, but I don't think you've been doing it well, okay? And no one, I want you to understand this, and that's why it's difficult for me to say, because I want to say this with utmost love and respect, okay? You literally need to be creating conversations around the work that you're doing. You need to be creating conversations around the solutions that you're providing, not necessarily just marketing your business, because the internet itself is driven by community, it's driven by conversations, and it's driven by relevant content, okay? So no one has time for your marketing stuff or fluff, so to speak. And you need to focus on producing useful content that people actually want, okay? And I think Seth Godin goes on and says you need to be creating such a permission asset that people will miss you when you're gone, okay? So if you're just putting content out there and you decide not to put out your episode or your podcast for one day and nobody rings up, or you decide not to show up on social media and nobody even cares to find out if you're okay. These days we just came out of a pandemic, and if nobody cares to actually look for you in other platforms and find out if you are okay or something has happened to you, then you realize that you haven't been creating useful content that people actually miss when you're gone. All right, so not all is lost if nobody has come to seek for you. And I'm not saying that we should actually go out there and start cleaning people's cars so that they miss us, or we start babysitting their kids just so that when they think of somebody who can help them, you'll be there. That's not what I'm saying. All right, we live in the information age, and I think now we are slowly moving from the information age to the age of choice. People now choose what they pay attention to. Okay, so if you still subscribe to what Gary Vee said, attention is your oxygen, then you might just he might just die trying to get people's attention these days, because there's so many opportunities for them to be entertained, for them to get information, and for them to actually connect with what it is that they want, or connect with the solutions or the people that can help them be, do, and have a happier existence. All right. So as I've mentioned, one of the downsides of living in this sort of information / choice age is that we're literally bombarded, and a lot of people are bloated with information and content, and half of it is not even relevant content. It's just noise. Okay, yes, I know I yell on my podcast, and I've got a really high pitch and a high tone and high energy, but this is not noise. This is value. I mean, we're 10 minutes in and we're still trying to really, really set the base for what it is that I'm talking about. And I want you to understand that my content, or the content that you need to be creating, isn't just supposed to be clickbait just to get people to buy from you. Okay. So like I was saying, we're living in the information age where a lot of people are bombarded with content. And if you start putting out useful content out there, you, my friend, will be head and shoulders above everybody else that's in the marketplace out there. Okay. And I think, I don't know about the statistic or what it is right now, but I know a lot of people are spending more than 13 hours a day just doing internet stuff. All right, so that's a lot of screen time that if you're not actually creating in useful content, then you're missing out on really creating relationships with the people you're going to be demanding money off of. So people are reading articles, people are listening to podcasts, people are watching videos, people are absorbing content from many countless other ways out there. YouTube, Netflix, all of that is the internet. The thing is, it's become so synonymous to our life that we forget that all of that is content on the internet. Okay, so you listening to me right now, this is the internet. This is content being disseminated through those white earphones that you have right now. If they're black, then obviously you're not a sheep. Okay. Where am I going with this? I don't know. Let's go to producing content, useful content that people actually want to listen to. Okay, so people are inundated, people are bombarded, fully bloated with vast amount of information. Now, as the human brain actually has ways to compartmentalize, or to actually separate, and to really put in different categories or categorize that information, you really need to position yourself as a helpful partner or a useful advisor to anyone else that you're going to be demanding attention off of it. All right, think about it. How many emails do you receive every single day that go unread? Okay, how much maybe direct mail that ends up in the trash unopened? That all that is content. Okay, the bottom line is that with so much content that is vying for our attention, we have very little patience left for any marketing fluff or any other noise that could potentially distract us. And the people that we're trying to get the attention of are usually busy people, people that run a business, you know what I mean? So if we really want their attention, we need to make sure that we are being helpful. So literally helping them by actually helping them. And quite simply, you actually need to prioritize what people can receive from you, because they're doing the same. They're prioritizing their consumption better, based on whether or not they think the information is useful to them or not. So all too often, as coaches and consultants, we're actually just creating content simply for the purpose of marketing our work, our processes, our solutions, our websites, or our blogs. And we're actually driven by the knowledge that maybe that creation of content is a powerful means for us to attract new visitors. That is obviously correct, and we have now sort of started using content as bait to bring people in, which, if you really look at it, people are coming to the internet to get information. They're coming to the internet to solve problems that they're facing, So if you use your content as bait to just sell your product, then people will soon catch up with you. And when they catch up with you, they obviously feel, cheated. And when that trust is gone, it takes a while to build up, And when we do this, I want you to really, really question this. Are we really giving our clients what it is that they want? All right. So this is how I would like for you to start looking at the sort of content that you're putting out there. Okay. Another way for you to look at it would be to view your website, your podcast, or your social media, or your blog as a library. Okay, a place where people go to get informed, a place where people get to, information about certain things that they're looking for. I know people don't go to a library these days, but, I've built my own library in my own house, and each book, represents something that I don't quite know either about running a business, about being a dad, about being an entrepreneur, about everything else that I might think of in life. So I want you for a moment to just imagine your site like a physical library. And if you haven't been in a library in the longest of time, just try and just go in there and see how they set up, their books, and how they lure you in to all the information that you might be seeking for. Okay. And it's awash with content that you might not find anywhere else. Okay. Now think about maybe the kind of books that you would maybe want to buy for yourself in your library. Are you going to be buying books that are not going to be helping you, or are you going to be filling up your library with books that will enhance your yourself so you can do and have a happier existence? Okay, so in the real world of maybe the bricks and mortar, if you go to this sort of library, it displays books according to what the public is looking for. Okay, usually they go from the latest editions of books that are popular in the marketplace, and then they go to like the hardcover research type books. Those are the ones that you find all the way in the back. All right. So if you're going to be creating content for your audience, you want to cater for all tastes. All right. And you have enough space. It's not like in a library where you've got finite space where you can store all that information. Now, look at how you're actually helping people. Are you helping them with their health? Are you helping them with their wealth? Are you helping with their relationships? And find out if there's other content that actually, can be, can collaborate with each other to actually give an ultimate experience for your audience. Okay, remember, these people that are coming to our websites and looking for information are basically bombarded with information, and they have, I think lately it's been like a 3-second attention span. So when they look at the stuff that you're showing, are you like a one-stop place where they can get all the information and then forget about everybody else? That's the approach you need to be putting in order for you to actually capture your audience attention, because people are tired of just trying to find and piece together pieces of information. They would rather just come to a place where everything is there for them. And that's why when you come to this podcast or when you listen to my content, you find out that I'm touching on every aspect for you to actually create a business that's profitable and enjoyable. Okay? And you want to curate that content for your audience so that they don't have to go anywhere else. You want to give away the bestsellers. You want to put the information that they're looking for immediately and then expand their brain and actually, impress them with all the other information that you have to find for them. Okay? You want to attract, obviously, their attention first, putting the bestsellers in front. But if you then, put all the other information, it makes people come back for more. Okay, and they can actually, find your, your website, your podcast informative, and it actually helps them, make sense of the world around them. So just a simple takeaway is this: in the world of B2B marketing, especially if you're a coach or consultant, good content, useful content is what will ensure that people will then talk about you at a barbecue. You arm people with what to say about you. You arm people with your branding. You arm people with your expertise. You arm people with the help that you are, able to help them. And then they can make informed decisions whether you are the rightful person with the rightful solution to whatever problems they might have. So a lot of people are falling into this whole trap of writing about themselves. Nobody cares. People care about what it is that you can do for them. All right? A lot of the content that we're creating, yes, I know, it grabs attention. It hooks readers. But pretty much after that, can people actually make use of it? Or can people actually make sense of what it is that you're trying to tell them there? Put it in another way. We want to use content as a means to actually help our clients by actually helping them, not just as a means to market our site or our business. But all too often, we forget to create content that is actually useful. If you look at your blog right now, are people actually getting the information that they need so much that they will actually maybe bookmark your blog or bookmark your website so that they don't have to keep searching for it over and over again? Let me tell you something. Yes, it might sound like it's boring content or it's not relevant, but if that's what your readers are looking for, make sure they can find it. I know we don't want to publish what we consider as boring content, but if it's what our readers are looking for, then voila, that's it. If you notice, the best sites that you frequent or the best sites that you go to or the ones that actually get it right are those that find that balance of talking about themselves while they're actually helping the clients with the information that they're looking for. I mean, of course, they create fresh, exciting content that keeps people coming back to their site. But at the same time, they also create content that is deep, meaningful, that is useful, and that is helpful, that people can actually, bookmark and come back to over and over and over, or reference to. So not only will that help you with just, creating for the people, it also helps the robots to understand that, yes, you are an expert within this industry, because if people are staying longer on your website, Google likes that, because then it calculates your bounce rate and actually measures that in order to rank you up. Check out episode number 15 where I talk more about this bounce rate thing, okay? So, I mean, just going back to the analogy of the, library that I alluded to first, by all means, I want you to create an entrance area that is filled with maybe the bestsellers and other maybe exciting and eye-catching books like magazines and all that stuff. But behind the entrance area of your website, be sure to stock the shelves with a deep body of reference materials that your readers are looking for. All right. If you, doubt this, just check your own website. Just go to your own blog right now. Look at your podcast. Do an audit. Do you actually have the right balance, or are you just talking about your business, or are you just talking about, what you did and what you had for lunch and things of that nature? Are you offering too much brain candy type stuff, fluff that just is surface level, or are you actually creating your blog so that it becomes a repository that your clients can actually, or your prospects can actually depend on to get information, to make sense of what it is, the solutions that you're putting out there? Like I said, in the world of B2B marketing, people don't have time to be looking at your marketing. They're also trying to market themselves. So if you have identified your target market, if you have clarified your message, you want to now go deep and really become the go-to advisor, especially in your niche. Now you might have a question. How do you ensure that your content is useful? I'll give you a few ideas. You want to create how-to content. Okay, because like I said, people are coming to the internet to get information, all right? So people need content that actually explains, maybe in a very simple step-by-step format, on how to do specific tasks. Okay, so as part of this, podcast, for example, I create, topics that detail step-by-step instructions on maybe like today, content marketing or digital marketing, anything to do with creating a business that's profitable and enjoyable. And guess what I do? I don't hold anything back. I just give people straightforward instructions about how to do something that can then become incredibly valuable and is a great example of maybe useful content. What that does, it creates goodwill, because if you find a nugget or something that you can utilize today, guess what happens? Tomorrow you come back for another one. Tomorrow you come back for another one. And soon you will then have so much indebtedness to the content that we're putting out there that you then decide, you know what? I might as well just pay these guys to do it for them. And half of the thing that we forget to do for our clients is to go broad, okay? Yes, you might be just talking about health or wealth or relationships, but let me tell you something. All of these topics are interconnected. What are you doing to be present in every aspect of your client's life? Because out of sight, out of mind. So you want to publish content that pertains to your industry as a whole, or your topic as a whole, not just what your product or your service or your process is as an offering. So if your content addresses issues that maybe people that are going through the problems that you're solving care about, it now becomes useful content. Okay, and if on the other hand your content is just all about you, the people that you work with, people are never going to use that, because it feels like you're just self-promoting, and nobody likes a self-promoter. You know what I mean? And one of the things that you can actually do, if you really want to speak about your own self or your own business, maybe you can share proprietary research. Okay, if you put in the time to actually find out about your industry, not only will that give you credibility, but it actually helps you, connect with your audience as somebody who's well invested in the industry. So you can now share your insights on whatever analysis that you come across, or the key issues, that people are finding within the industry, and people will actually link to your content as that's proprietary research. Of course, you're marketing yourself in a way, but you're also helping people by actually helping them, doing the stuff that they wouldn't be able to do by themselves. All right. And once you do that, you also want to work with other collaborators or other people that are in the same industry and link to their content. All right. Not everyone is going to be able to tackle all the subjects, but if you link to other useful content, you now become the one-stop shop where your clients would come to for information. And when you have created that, that's when you be able to say, like what Seth Godin said, people will actually miss you when you're gone. So you always want to link your content to high quality related content, which actually then transfers that credibility, whether it's not yours, you know what I mean? That also shows the generosity of what it is that you're putting out there, and you actually can collaborate with other people and then really create meaningful content that people would absolutely love to get from you. And if you can maybe not collaborate with other people, just curate great content. Like I said, a lot of people are bombarded with information, but if you make it easy for people to actually get enough content and context as to what it is that they're doing, it doesn't matter even if it's other people's content. Okay? Because content curation is a valuable service. Look at what Netflix is doing. Netflix is curating content for us to just pay a subscription so that we don't have to go to all these movie houses and ask them if they've got a new movie or if they've got a new season of our favorite show. You know what I mean? So you make the website useful for your visitors. Netflix only started creating content recently, but when they started, they were just curating other people's content. So anytime you can bring together the best sources of information onto one place, you're literally saving people time, money, and effort. And guess what? You now, can charge for that, and it becomes a huge value for them because people are always looking to save time. And once you know exactly what people are looking for, create tools that people can actually utilize and make sense of the worlds around them. So no matter what you're going to be doing about making your content useful, you just have to make sure that, its usefulness is not lost in your audience, and you're doing it for people that you have identified that actually value the processes that you're putting out there. Because let me tell you something, man, people would assess content incredibly fast. They now have an eye for seeing whether something is useful to them or not. And they can decide whether to consume a piece of content just by the blink of an eye. So if you have a track record of putting out content that matters out there, just make sure you're always, being of value. And once you become of value, people will respect that stuff. So, if you picked up a few things on this podcast, why don't we have an audit on what it is that you're doing right now so that you know that your efforts on content are not being wasted. Okay? So if you reach out to me, we can schedule a call, and this is what we can do. We'll work hands-on with you to develop a strategic plan and then deep dive and work with your ideal client clarity. Because if you know who you're writing to, it makes it a whole lot easier for you to create that content and make it specific and meaningful to them. And pretty much we then start creating strategic messaging, which brings all those people that are seeking for the solutions that you provide to you. And once you've got that, we can now start looking at your coaching or consulting offers and look at your fees and your pricing and maybe your business model, because maybe you might not have to go out and create the content yourself. You might actually just be curating other people's content, but you need to charge for that. And then pretty much after that, I can help you set up your marketing engine and your lead generation system so that you can consistently attract ideal clients. Like I said, just check your own blog post right now or your website and do an audit. If you've got the right balance, you're not just spraying and praying with your marketing and, not giving people actual value, then that's amazing. But if you haven't started creating content that actually, people would seek to read before they, when you're not there anymore, make sure that your content is not just simply created to market your site, but is actually there to inform your readers so that they can make sense of the world around them. I don't know what you're going to do with this information today, but I know you're going to do the right thing. Bye for now.
Thank you for joining us today. If you have any questions, let's continue the conversation in the Live Long Digital community. Become a Live Long Digital community member today. This community is for ambitious entrepreneurs and small business owners with the drive to take control of the future of their businesses and achieve huge success without stress and overwhelm. As you heard, Prosper can help you by teaching you marketing strategies that work. So look no further than the Live Long Digital community of entrepreneurs and highly successful business owners. Join our community today. Find us on www.community.livelongdigital.com.au. Network with other driven entrepreneurs and find the expert guidance you need to take your business to the next level. www.community.livelongdigital.com.au